After 40 years, we are finally going back to Switzerland. In this episode, we'll be visiting the Old Town of Zurich, eating some Swiss chocolate, and then visiting the beautiful town of Lucerne. We're Richard and Mary. Since retiring in 2004, we've been exploring the U.S. and abroad by car, RV, train, and cruise ship.
Come along with us as we enjoy beautiful scenery and visit interesting and historic places.
Please subscribe and welcome to the adventures of the retired roamers.
We're in Lake Zurich. It's kind of a rainy day, but still we can see everything we're going to want to see. We have a very good guide and things are going to work well.
Yep.
Yep. Man, a few words.
It's going to be a little rainy while we're on this trip, but hopefully we'll have periods of sunshine and get some good video. In a little while we're going to be taking a tour through Zurich, walking tour through Old Town, and then we'll take a boat tour down the lake to the Lindt Homer chocolate.
Yay!
Yummy!
That's why we're going. The Frauminster is the oldest church in Switzerland, with its foundation dating back to 853. It was formerly a Benedictine church and residence for aristocratic young women. Frauminster translates to women's monastery. Adjacent to the church is the largest square within the Old Town. It's surrounded by medieval buildings, among which are several guild houses, which were meeting and training houses based on a particular craft. Training went from apprenticeships, usually starting about the age of 12, moving up to journeyman, then master. When a journeyman was sufficiently skilled, he submitted a piece of his best work to be judged by the head of the guild. This is the origin of the word masterpiece.
Walking through the narrow streets, we arrive at the clock tower of St. Peter's Church, which was for centuries Zurich's official local time, and all public city clocks had to conform to it. The tower has the second largest clock face in Europe.
Hans Waldmann was a military leader who was elected as mayor of Zurich in 1483. He was one of the most powerful and wealthy Swiss people of his time.
However, he was executed 6 years later in response to pressure by farmers who didn't accept his land reforms. This monument was erected in 1937 by a guild of food and wine merchants aiming to rehabilitate his reputation, since they believed he had been wrongly accused.
We took a half-hour cruise on Lake Zurich on our way to tour my much-anticipated home of Lindt chocolate.
This impressive 30-foot fountain of chocolate contains 370 gallons of milk chocolate. The tour starts with exhibits that explain how cocoa beans are harvested, dried, and fermented to produce cocoa. Chocolate was being consumed as a beverage in Central America around 3500 BC. In 1519, Spanish explorers took it back to Europe, where it was consumed by the upper class. By 1850, chocolate had reached the working class. In 1875, Daniel Peter mixed milk and chocolate, inventing the world's first milk chocolate bar. At the end of the tour, we sampled 8 types of chocolate truffles. You have your chocolate?
Yes! I died and went to heaven. We're at the Lindt Chocolate Factory. They give you as many samples as you want. They encourage you to try the samples. I was going to spend the night, but they won't let you do that. It's really very interesting. The history of chocolate is good. They've got a good presentation, but the tasting is out of this world.
The next day we traveled by train to Lucerne, passing by some beautiful country.
Fire destroyed the Lucerne train station in 1971. It was rebuilt with the original arched entrance left standing in front.
When we stayed in Lucerne 40 years ago, our hotel was on the shore of Lake Lucerne. It was an experience we never forgot. Chapelplatz, or Chapel Place, is a square that surrounds Peter's Chapel, an 18th century church that was built over a 12th century predecessor. This chapel also lends its name to the Chapel Bridge. The fountain in the square holds significance in Lucerne's annual carnival celebrations that date back to the 15th century. The pillar has multiple carnival masks and water pours into the fountain space from 4 jesters' masks. The Chapel Bridge, built in 1385, is the oldest surviving truss bridge in the world.
One of the unique features of Lucerne is its 2 wooden pedestrian bridges, both featuring triangular painted frames dating back to the 17th century. None of Europe's other wooden footbridges have this feature. If you'd like to see the paintings more clearly, click on the link in the description below.
Note the White Castle on the hill.
This Jesuit church was constructed in 1666 and is dedicated to St. Francis Xavier. Many believe it to be the most beautiful Baroque church in Switzerland. The Church of St. Mary was built by Franciscan monks in 1280. The beautiful Gothic interior features the most elaborately ornamented pulpit in Switzerland.
The Spearer Bridge, or Chaff Bridge, dates from 1566 and connected the Mühlenplatz, or Mill Place, with the grain mills in the middle of the river.
The painted triangular frames on the bridge are similar to the church bridge. The painting's theme is known as the Dance of Death. The images and texts are intended to highlight that there's no place where death isn't present. Again, see the link in the description to view the paintings.
The wall and towers were erected in 1400 and formed part of the town's fortifications. Grain mills powered by the river operated in the Mühlenplatz area since the 8th century.
At the end of this street are examples of the decorative artwork painted on the exterior of many buildings in Lucerne. Most of the paintings tell the story of the history of the building or the square.
Wine Market Square was actually a fish market until the middle of the 16th century. The square has been in its present form, including the fountain, since 1481. Grain was traded in Corn Market Square from 1356 until the late 1800s. The Old Town Hall, built in 1606, served as both the town hall and granary. The clock tower dates to 1440 and was part of the city fortifications. As we say goodbye to beautiful Lake Lucerne, join us in our next episode when we travel to Grindelwald in the Alps.